If you stand in a Lagos market on a busy Saturday, you hear people argue about almost everything: the price of tomatoes, the taste of imported rice, even whether the foreign apple is sweeter than the Nigerian one. But in recent years, another word has quietly entered those conversations: GMO. Some say it's the future of food. Others whisper it's poison, a foreign experiment smuggled into Africa. What exactly is this thing called GMO? How did it start? Why has it become such a hot topic in Nigeria, where food is already tied to culture, survival, and pride? This is the story of GMOs: how they were born, how they spread across the world, and how they finally found their way to African soil. Long before scientists started talking about DNA, humans were already modifying crops. The maize we eat today didn't look anything like the tiny wild grass grown in ancient Mexico. Bananas were once full of seeds. Nigerian yams. Smaller, rougher, harder to chew than what we have now. Through centuries of selective breeding, farmers shaped plants to give more food and taste better. But something changed in the 1970s and 1980s. Science learned how to move genes directly from one organism to another. Instead of waiting years for nature to cooperate, researchers could cut and paste genetic material. The result? The first genetically modified organisms, GMOs. The earliest one was a tomato in 1994, designed to last longer on shelves. Then came Bt maize and cotton, which carried a gene from bacteria to fight off pests without heavy pesticide spraying. Soybeans followed. By the late 1990s, farms in America, Canada, Brazil, and Argentina were already planting millions of hectares of GM crops. To some, it was a miracle. To others, it was the beginning of a dangerous game. Scientists promised three big benefits. 1. Higher yields, more food for a growing population. 2. Less pesticide use, plants that defend themselves. 3. Resilience, crops that could survive drought or floods. The dream was that a farmer in Kano or Enugu could harvest twice as much maize even with little rainfall. Or that beans in Sokoto would resist pests that normally destroy half the farm. But fear grew just as fast as the technology. What if eating GMOs caused new allergies? What if they damaged the soil? What if foreign companies use GM seeds to trap African farmers, forcing them to buy new seeds every year instead of saving their own? These questions shaped global debates. Some countries, like the United States, embraced GMOs fully. Others, like many in Europe, banned them or demanded strict labeling. Africa didn't rush. For decades, GMOs were a foreign story, something happening over there. But hunger and climate change began to push the conversation. South Africa became the first African nation to plant GM maize and cotton. Burkina Faso followed with GM cotton, though farmers later complained it reduced the quality of their fabric. The debate spilled across the continent. Some governments saw GMOs as a lifeline for food security. Others worried they were opening the door to exploitation. Activist groups raised alarm, while international biotech companies painted visions of golden harvest. Nigeria joined the global story officially in 2015, when the National Biosafety Management Agency, NBMA, was established. This agency became the gatekeeper, deciding which GM crops could enter Nigeria. By 2018, Nigeria approved the commercial release of Bt cotton, a genetically modified cotton resistant to bollworm pest. Not long after, scientists released a GM version of cowpea, beans, resistant to the notorious pod borer insect that destroys much of Nigeria's bean harvest. Maize was next in line, with trials already ongoing. The idea was clear: Nigeria wanted to boost food production, reduce import bills, and help local farmers survive pest and climate challenges. But while scientists and government officials talked about biotechnology progress, the average Nigerian in Mile 12 market or a small village in Benue had a simpler question. Abeg, this GMO no go kill us? In Nigeria, almost everything eventually lands in gossip circles. WhatsApp messages started spreading, "Don't eat beans, they are now engineered with chemicals." Some claimed GMOs could cause cancer, others swore they were part of a foreign population control agenda. In rural areas, some farmers were suspicious. "Why them they give us free seed? Since when Oyinbo they do charity without gain?" On radio talk shows, callers asked, "If this food is so safe, why is Europe rejecting it?" And in markets, women would whisper, "See that big tomato? If it be GMO, no touch am." The truth is, most Nigerians don't fully understand what GMO means. To many, it's simply foreign food, strange, suspicious, and possibly dangerous. In recent years, Nigerian newspapers have carried heated headlines. "Nigeria approves GMO beans, activists protest." "Farmers hail GM cotton, say yields have doubled." "Civil societies demand ban on GMO maize." NGOs like Health of Mother Earth Foundation, HOMEF, and other activists often raise red flags, warning that Nigeria is being turned into a testing ground for biotechnology companies. On the other hand, government officials and some scientists argue that without GMOs, Nigeria may never achieve food security. With a population of over 220 million and growing, they say the country cannot afford to ignore scientific innovations. So what has really happened? Some Nigerian farmers who planted BT cotton reported better yields and fewer pests. Others complained that the cost of seeds was too high, and they couldn't replant seeds from last year's harvest. Consumers remain divided. Some don't even know when they're eating GMO food, since labeling is not always clear. Meanwhile, social media is filled with conspiracy theories, from "GMO rice is plastic" to "engineered beans will turn into stone in your stomach." The story of GMO in Nigeria is not simply good or bad. It's a double-edged sword. On one side, GMOs could reduce hunger, increase yields, and help farmers survive climate change. On the other side, questions about health, environment, and corporate control remain unanswered in many people's minds. Science is still evolving, and so are Nigerian opinions. For now, the debate continues in labs, parliament halls, markets, and street corners. In conclusion, when you walk through Lagos today, you may pass shops selling imported rice, Nigerian beans, maize, and gari. Hidden among those bags and grains may be the first wave of genetically modified crops. Some people eat them without knowing. Others avoid them without evidence. The truth is, the GMO debate in Nigeria is more than food. It's about trust in government, trust in science, and trust in the global system. Will GMOs be the seed that feeds Nigeria's future, or a Trojan horse that brings new problems? Time will tell. But one thing is clear, the conversation has only just begun.